What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know it took me a little bit of time to go ahead and get this video out there, but I wanted to make sure I had enough play time. I wanted to see if I grinded up and ranked for a decent portion of time, it would, change the experience overall. But I gotta be honest with you guys. Ranked is kind of a mess in its current spot. Now, it's not the end of the world. We can definitely see improvements, and as the devs stated in their previous dev blog, if you guys remember, we discussed it in yesterday's video, they are planning on, changing some things around, but right now they are locking in to make sure all the bugs and problems are resolved, so the game is just simply smooth for everybody across the board, right? And then we can start worrying about bigger issues. But I still want to go ahead and give my take on Ranked, and, give some constructive criticism to hopefully, improve the overall experience moving forward. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you do enjoy what you hear in today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post here daily at 8 and 1 Eastern Time, and I do stream Monday through Saturday, so if you guys want to catch any of my live streams, I will be up today, probably around 12 p.m. Eastern Time, over on Twitch. You can find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. Alright, so obviously, first and foremost, we're just going to get the most obvious point out of the way here. How the rank system actually works. As you can see in this footage, this is my very first ranked match. I hopped on, late night at the very end of the day. I was just kicking back. I didn't even expect to have to try, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. This is my first game. I'm in bronze. The developers already stated that everybody starts in bronze. And I gave, ranked a few days for the very competitive players to go ahead and build themselves up. Let's be honest, the best of the best were going to be on day one. They're going to grind up as quickly as possible. So I thought to myself, sit back a few days and you'll probably be able to verse actual bronze and you can kick back, relax, and, go about your business. No, I had to kind of wake myself up a bit in this game because I'm versing some of the top players in Splitgate 2. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy versing experienced players, and honestly, playing throughout all these matches with these demons has really improved just my overall gameplay flow. And when I hop back into, obviously, casuals or even onslaught, my gameplay has enhanced tremendously between just how I move around the map, how I portal, so on and so forth, even how I play specific game modes. Let's be honest here, Split Ball, I barely even knew any of the, the fast rotations to get from point A to point B, but boy, oh boy, trying to keep up with these people, you got to. You just simply have to. So, you either adapt or you kind of crumble. And like I said, maybe a better player. I like it. But in ranked, you have to have some time to allow players to build themselves up, right? Because not everybody is supposed to be higher than a bronze. And some people are starting off extremely fresh. They're hopping into the game, and they want to try to get to that point of being a better player. And they want to slowly go through the ranks and understand the game. But being thrown against some of these, again, top-tier players right out the gate is not a good look. Now, again, thankfully, the developers have already confirmed that this is a bug, and hopefully it could be fixed up soonish. I know the developers said for the next couple of weeks, maybe even more, they want to really hyper-prioritize the biggest issues to make sure the gameplay flow is smooth. But I do consider this bug to be up there with the gameplay, flow stability, stutters, frame drops. I consider these ranks to be right up there because the game mode is almost completely useless unless you are already, a pretty comfortable player within Splitgate. If you are, you probably don't mind. And if you're like me and you accept the challenge, you'll want to, push on through with it. But again, the whole purpose of ranked is to start off in your rank and then progress up to the top. And versing people at the top, although I will say, if you lose like 3, 4, 5 matches, if you get just one win while you're in the bottom tiers, like, bronze, silver, it'll almost take all of those losses, eat them all up, and then give you some. So, it does reward you for winning, but it almost feels like it's more so luck over, okay, I actually worked for this. It's like, oh, I got a lucky game against the top players. Let me eat my rank up and finally upgrade. I don't really think anybody wants to feel that. They want to hop into bronze, versing other bronze, and completely beat them out until they get to silver, and then completely beat them out until they get to gold, and so on and so forth until they're in their respective rank. But again, as I stated, the developers are going to go ahead and work on this. Secondly, a faction limit. I think that this is extraordinarily crucial. Not only has, ranked exposed how insane Sobrask truly is when it comes to the top tier levels. The developers are not lying. When it comes to casual play, onslaught or just regular, arena 4v4, boy, oh boy, the people who use Sobrask there are completely different than the people who use Sobrask at the top ranks in Splitgate 2, 1010%. And when you get there, you see what Sabrask is all about. And trust me, people are abusing him. Now, yeah, they can go ahead and nerf Sabrask, like they said, but I still think at the end of the day, there should be some type of faction limit. I think they're, again, a team of 4. You can have 2 people be the same thing, and that's it. The other 2 players will have to pick and choose, if they want to pick Arrows or Meridian. Or if you want 2 Meridians, then, the last 2 have to pick and choose between Arrows and Sabrask. So on and so forth. I think that will help balance things out and will force that, that team play that the developers were trying to build with adding factions into the game. Because without this cap, it just kind of feels like, whatever is the most OP, let's just stack it up. Oh, so Sabrask has a bunch of really overpowered walls. Pick 4 of them, slam them bad boys down, synchronize them, catch an easy W. Next up here, luckily the developers have already answered this. But obviously the connection. EU players and people across the seas shouldn't be connecting with NA players whatsoever, In a ranked environment, that's kind of unacceptable, but thankfully the devs have already addressed this, and again, I want you guys to go down in the comment section if you do play a decent amount of ranked, and let me know if your lobbies have been better when it comes to your connection. If you are an EU player, are you actually in your own region, or are you across the seas once again? I also heard a little rumor that if you back out, you don't lose rank. Now, I didn't want to test this. I knew I should try to test this so I can confirm if this is true or not. But I genuinely, deep down, cannot, screw over my teammates like that. It just feels too weird. And even when it comes down to like the very end of the game, maybe, and just backing out, I can't. It just feels too weird to me. But I've seen this problem posted absolutely everywhere. And let's be honest, you don't really have to describe why this shouldn't be a feature in the game. Hopefully it's not a feature, but if it's a bug or something like that, hopefully that gets patched up quickly, because it kind of defeats the whole purpose of going through the ranks if you could just back out and patch your stats. And talking about patching stats, being able to party up with people too drastically apart from one another when it comes down to rank. Now, I'm assuming once they go ahead and put in that barrier, that actual rank barrier into ranked, then that will be resolved as well. So when bronzes can only verse bronzes, basically, or maybe silvers or something like that, then I'm assuming around that time, you probably won't be able to go ahead and party up with absolutely anyone at any rank, right? Talking about, again, partying up with people, let's talk about the people that you go up against here and how consistently you go ahead and do so. I feel like there should be something in place to where you don't have to verse the same squad again and again and again. I don't know what the problem might be for this or, why it might be occurring. But, it's not really fun versing people who are severely above your skill level, who stomp you and then stomp you again and stomp you again and stomp you again until it finally switches up the matchmaking and you verse other people, and then you can finally maybe get a win to bring yourself back up. Very demotivating. We already know they are tremendously better. I think it's time to shake some things up and, put us up against a different crowd. But, that might just be me. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about that down below. But ladies and gentlemen, overall, I don't completely hate the ranked mode. Not at all. I think it's very fun. Like I said, I enjoy the grind. But there are a lot of things holding it back. Personally, I think all the game modes are really solid. I love how it has made me a better player overall. And I also love how the system prioritizes getting wins over just simply fragging out. I think that's outstanding because it really encourages team play. You have to work together as a unit because you want to win the overall match. It can't just go to the back of the map, farm a bunch of kills, and just pray that, your teammates are going to move up and play the OBJ. And then if you lose, whatever, you got like 70, 80 bodies. The system's going to think you did good enough. You'll still get a decent amount of points regardless, and you won't really lose too much rank. Nah, forget that nonsense. If you don't play with your team, you are not going to rank up. You will continuously lose, and you will lose score doing so. I like this system overall. It just needs some tweaks to make it more entry-level friendly, and also just more addicting to the grind. As I stated in the beginning of the video, the way it's, laid out right now, it feels like more of a luck factor. It's like, oh, I finally beat these top players, so now I get to rank up. When it should be feeling, okay, I'm consistently beating my level, that means I should be going up to silver. And it's like, okay, now I'm consistently beating this level, time for me to go up to gold, That is the sense of progression that I think people are really craving. And sadly, until that gets introduced into the game mode, I don't think it's going to bring in or maintain a decent amount of players. But I do have faith the devs are going to go ahead and cook this up. I want them to, again, as we all want them to do, hyper prioritize the bugs, the issues, obviously stutters, performance, frame drops. There's a lot of things holding back people from even wanting to simply just consistently play. But hopefully when everything is resolved, they can nail these things home with ranked, because this experience has so much potential. The devs just have to go ahead and tap into it. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget subscribing and hit that bell. I post your daily at 8 in the morning Eastern time. And of course, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, if you guys are interested, go link the channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.